Welcome back, campers, to Ghost Storying, where we gather around the virtual campfire to tell the tales of spirit at some spooky locations wherever they happened, as they happened to me. I'm Amy Shuford, psychic medium, and these are my stories. This is chapter 5, The Burgwin Wright House. Our story takes place here at the Burgwin Wright House. This is a very lovely home. It was built in the 1700s and is located in Wilmington, North Carolina. Now they hold different tours that you can go on. I think you can just go around by yourself as well. But this was the holiday season when I was there. A friend of mine and I decided to go to this. It was like a candlelit tour or colonial Christmas. You know, they had a lot of those kind of things over the holidays. And that should have been my first clue as a medium. Colonial, no electricity, candlelight. Yeah, dark, Amy, dark. As a medium, I try to avoid really dark places, you know. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just more quiet. You know, there's so much noise in our everyday life. And I think it maybe, I don't know, this is just the musings of Amy Shuford, but maybe it's easier for spirits to contact us because of the silence. Maybe that's why they're more prevalent. I don't know. However, my friend and I went to this event, and as we started to go on the tour, we went up this very beautiful staircase. And I remember it being steep, but we got up to like a catwalk. And we all had to kind of spread out along the back wall as the person leading the tour was talking. And we backed up to this area. I remember being able to see this little structure there, and it caught my eye, and I was like, gosh, what is this? And looking back, you know, this is the 1700s. I'm very drawn to that. Spirit always finds a way to lead you where they want you to be, where they need you to be. So they were giving the tour and talking about a man who owned it, and he was a bachelor. And that stuck in my head. They said that several times. People probably asked about the family. He was a bachelor. Then as we were standing there, and it's very condensed, so I can feel the energy being condensed. I can feel crowded. You know, people are trying to maneuver and stand, not bump into each other, these strangers on this tour. And this lady, she comes marching right up to me, a spirit. An older woman. She had gray hair, and she was wearing a long black dress. It had like a neck, you know, one of those really high necks, and long sleeves down to her like wrists. Long, I don't know what you call the bodice. I don't really know what you call that, but long skirt. Everything was long, covered. She was well covered, all black. And my first thought was, oh my gosh, when I saw her, oh Lord, there was probably a funeral here. Because, you know, back in the day, people, when they had their wakes, people just laid them out for the viewing right there in the living room. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be sad. I was always jumping to conclusions back then. I think it's human. But she looked right at me and she said, This is my house. My house. So this woman made it clear under no uncertain terms that this was her house. She wasn't very happy that the person giving the tour kept calling it this other dude's house. And I could really feel how she felt. And I thought, yeah, I mean, I don't know how long she's been there, right? And how long she's been listening to various people saying that it's this gentleman's house. So as a medium, I'm sitting there going, okay. I mean, obviously these people know what they're talking about. This is a historic house. They're doing a tour, which is a history tour. They have a historian there. They made mention of that. And I also knew that from working at a local hotel. But I'm like, okay, here's the thing, y'all. Here's the thing. We may get things wrong in our interpretation, but spirit is always right. I have come to learn that in all the work that I've done. Spirit's always right. It's just how we interpret it. So it's only human sometimes to jump to conclusions, whether you're receiving information for yourself, whether you're getting signs from loved ones, whether you are approached by spirit in whichever way it decides to communicate. A lot of people, and listen, I was like that for a while when I tried to close down my abilities. Sometimes your first instinct is fear. Oh, this is where spirits get a bad rap, Could be just grandma and you think it's something bad, right? Because it startles you a little. And it's that realization between being startled and fear. Startle's okay. Fear's not, right? Fear doesn't lead to good at all. So I just sat there thinking, And then the lady, she was like, come here. She wanted to show me something. We're standing up against the back wall. I could see this little structure that's over there. And there were like some kind of door. It was dark. And it looked like dark wood. I don't know if it was. Again, it was dark, but she wanted me to go through that. And I thought, now looking here, probably just went out on the balcony if that's where the door was. But I'm like, I don't know where that leads. Like I'm in the middle of a tour. And it's so funny because I'm having this conversation in my head and I'm like, I can't do that. Like, you see these people? I can't do that. I can't leave right now. So after that, we walked into the next room and I don't remember what you would call it, but we might call it living room or something, but this is where they entertained people and they talked about, the owner entertaining people. I was going to say having a party, and it probably was on their day, right? There was a piano, if I remember correctly, and there was a hutch on the right wall when you came in. And I was kind of standing back on the side wall, I believe it was. I kept trying to move because I don't like everyone crowding me because everybody's people gets around me, right? I just feel congested, crowded. But then from around the hutch, I see this little girl, this blonde girl, and she's peeking around and she knows I can see her. I'm so bad with age. I don't know how old she was, right? But she's a little girl. Could not have been more than 8 at most. I'm bad again. Probably shouldn't say age because I don't know. I'm bad with it. But I'm thinking, who are you? Like, and I asked her, and she just kind of giggled and hid. Like, I'm like, oh, like you want to play hide and seek, you know? But my brain is thinking, okay, they keep talking about bachelor, bachelor, bachelor. And then we have this old woman who's like, this is my house. And now I have this child. Now, the thing is, spirits go back to places that they felt comfortable, that they loved, that had some pivotal meaning in their life. And sometimes, especially with children, if somebody dies really suddenly, sometimes they don't realize that they're dead. Why is that? I don't know. I only know what spirit conveys to me. But I thought, okay, if they did a lot of entertaining and there was a piano and there was music and these people seemed well-to-do, so there was probably food and that kind of thing, she could have just come in from anywhere. It was a happy place. She could have been looking for her family. I don't know. But I'm trying to figure all this out as the person is leading the tour. And at one point, this was so funny because she must have felt that girl now that I'm looking back on it, because she said something and she was like, oh, it was a ghost. And then she was like, oh no, no one's ever seen a spirit here. And I'm like, yeah, right. Right. I mean, this house from the 1700s had a lot of living in it. And also, I'm telling you, around that area, there are some areas that just were plain old not safe, which is probably the case in those times, right? I mean, they didn't have lights, nighttime. I think this is probably why a lot of stories and fears, legends come from, because it's dark and you can't see anything, and it's very dangerous. I remember them saying, like, if you went out and broke your leg in the middle of the night, it'd be unfortunate for us, but it'd probably be the end of their life, right? It was very dangerous, very different times. But I was trying to figure out, where does this girl belong? Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't already, hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel, and let's meet weekly around the virtual campfire. So after the tour was over, my friend went out to the courtyard and I went down towards like the gift shop area to see if I could find the historian. And I waited just till people kind of cleared out around there. I was still a little shy about discussing things back then, but I asked her, so who's the woman of the house? And she looked at me and I said, who's the woman of the house? She's an older lady. And the tour guide was like, did you see her? Real excited. And I said, yeah. And she said, normally people only see male energies. And I thought, aha. Just like I thought when she tried to say during the tour that nobody's seen spirits around here. I'm sure a lot of people have. You don't have to be a medium in these kind of cases, right? Anyhow, so she said, the historian said, come here. And I followed her and she showed me a picture of an older woman. And she says, is that her? And I said, yes. And as it turns out, the bachelor, and I don't remember why, but he left for a period of time and he rented the home out at one point to a family that had children. Now, I don't know if the little girl belonged to that family or not. I have no idea. However, I do know that the older woman I saw who said, "This is my house," was the same woman. And her husband had passed away, so she was in fact in a mourning dress. And I don't know, y'all, maybe her husband was displayed there at some point. I don't know. I don't know whether she came after he passed away, but she's very much attached to this home, and she considers it her house. I don't know how long she's been there. I don't know if she wants to leave. We didn't have that kind of conversation. I haven't been back since then, but I would really like to go back and see if she's willing to have a conversation with me again. I want to see what she wanted to show me, and I'm very interested in that structure in the back because I kept being pulled there. It's a really lovely home. They have tours that you can purchase tickets to. You can make a donation. I highly recommend it. Please support any of these places that I show on this channel. If you're going to go there to look at the history, or if you're going to go there hoping to maybe catch a glimpse of spirit or have some kind of interaction, please let's make sure that we are respectful and that we support the work that the Historical Society is doing. So thank you guys once again from the bottom of my heart for subscribing, for commenting, for viewing. I really, really appreciate you. It helps me to get out the stories, to tell the tales that the spirits want told. Thanks again, and I will see you next week around the virtual campfire.